I would think you could say they're busy.
Sure.
But it seems as though everyone, for the most part, that they have signed, not re-signed, have been on the defensive side of the ball. And joining us now is former wide receiver for the Cardinals, Frank Sanders, joins us. Frank, any concern that all the moves so far have been on the defensive side of the ball? Do you think they need to start getting busy on the offensive side of the ball?
Look, you'd always think that whatever the Cardinals are doing, they need to be doing it in a hurry and a rush, and not waiting to how it's been in the past, the last seconds to go out and get some guys. It's not. I'm not really surprised by it though, because I think that the conversation is that the upside in the draft this year is on the offensive side of the ball, and I think they're really waiting on that to really kind of come to fruition for them.
I think also you look at the pattern of Monty Ossenfort in the past. And Jonathan Gannon, former defensive coordinator, to build the defense, the secondary. You got 2 defensive tackles that they've signed this afternoon. Some of the offensive linemen the Cardinals have signed have been re-signed Cardinal people. But it seems as though that's kind of the pattern when you look at the teams they came from, the Patriots and the Eagles, that's what they built first before they added any kind of the offensive sides.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, last Monty's first year, we saw him bring in about 30 different free agents from around the league, and guys that they can plug and play, that JG and the rest of the guys from the coaching staff believe that those guys would be, good guys you can just bring in, learn the system, and kind of pick it up as you go, get better during the season. And I think we saw that happen. Unfortunately, we were missing our number one piece in Kyler Murray. And I think that, if we find ourselves, finding a backup quarterback that we could trust, that would be one of my number one topics right there. Somebody I know that can take over the offense if something happens to Kyler.
Well, I think that's that's the luxury you have when you see Mac Jones moving on to Jacksonville, and some of the other quarterbacks are going to be available. But from the offensive perspective, Frank, when you see the running game situation with James Conner seems to be in good hands. Hopefully he stays healthy, to your point. Kyler Murray for now hopefully continues to make the improvements. But the home run hitters, we just have not seen that. We've had Hollywood Brown, but we haven't seen the home runs out of him. So is that going to be vitally important for this team to move on for another 4 or 5 games? Or will you just get that in the draft, hopefully, with Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Honestly, I think it has to be a balance in that between what you have and the guys you have expectations for. But we do have to realize that Kyler's been in the system for about 7, 8 weeks. And we saw what it turned out to be. Manuch was we got happy with our tight end game, and our running game became the biggest two pieces, and it wasn't our down the field game that we were expecting. I don't necessarily know exactly how coach is going to call the plays moving forward. I would definitely love to see more of a downfield game added to the running game. That is something to be seen. There is talent in the draft, and there are players in the free agency market, wide receiver wise, that can that can help, bring at least that type of threat to your offense. Hopefully we're able to kind of do a good balance and a scouting technique on the guys that we want to bring in from free agency, but especially from the draft from there. And there's a host of receivers that are sub 4'5" guys, 6'3", 6 foot and above receivers that can go out and make some plays.
Frank Sanders is our guest on the Right Toyota guest line. Frank, do you sit back and think sometimes, God, I was born way too soon? What would a prime Frank Sanders get on the open market today?
Doesn't golf balls. Doesn't golf balls.
Manuch, Rock, you already know I was over here, man. I'm drinking a Coca-Cola in this old Mexican bottle, thinking to myself, man, if I had just been born in the 2000s, oh my God, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So with that being said, when you look at the number for Kirk Cousins for Atlanta, $180 million, $100 million guaranteed, Frank, $50 million signing bonus. So you look at some numbers for the quarterbacks, and we'll see some of these for wide receivers. Market or no market, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, I would think, and especially in Atlanta, seems like Arthur Blank, the owner, wants to win now and not have a quarterback being developed while he's hopefully got a few more years left.
You know what? I think that's the part where, one man's trash is another man's treasure. And that Kirk Cousins is a 100%, picture of that regard. I mean, you're talking about a quarterback that has not been a playoff quarterback. He has not won a division championship. He has not won a Super Bowl, but he has been consistent in the season. And you look at it, he's coming off one of the toughest injuries to come back in, and that is an Achilles tear. And you watch, and you're looking at the market now, saying you're taking the name over the actual potential performance of what we think can happen, and or what we think is going to happen of a quarterback coming back with a bad injury. As such as if you look at the Jets, and you have that same big concern with Aaron Rodgers. So, look, the market is hot for a lot of the quarterbacks that have names that still can get out and do it. Kudos to those guys and the NFL. The NFL having the money out there to pay the level that they're paying for these free agencies. But there are some guys that are getting paid that deserve it. There's other guys that are getting paid off past performance. And kudos to Baker Mayfield. Kudos to Kirk Cousins.
How come all of a sudden in the last couple of seasons, running backs have taken a hit? Like nobody wants to pay them anymore. Is it just because it's a position where you can get hurt more easily? What happened to the star running backs aside from Christian McCaffrey?
When you start paying your quarterback $50 million and you got quarterbacks that can run 4.5s, 4.4s, and the RPO offense, Jimmy, it just changed the narrative of what you need a running back to be doing. Typically, in our day and time, a running back will touch the ball somewhere up to 14 to 25 times, some 30 times a game. The quarterback game plan would be no more than less than 40 passes, but somewhere in that 25 to 35 number, unless we got into a shootout. But it's changed now. The average quarterback is throwing over 40 times a game. He has the ability to run the ball and make that decision with the RPO offense. And the receivers right now, you're going away from the H-back, which is a fullback, to 3 and 4 or 5 wide receivers consistently. So it changes the narrative. And running backs right now, they're not getting the fair share, but just the market has changed that much from the value of what a running back really brings to the table.
Frank, your thoughts on Russell Wilson going to Pittsburgh? Looks like for all intents and purposes, it's his job to lose going against Pickett. But if you got an experienced quarterback like that, who I thought had a decent year last year at the Broncos, he goes into Pittsburgh, and if you're Pickens, the receiver, you just want somebody that's going to get you the ball consistently. But on top of that, those guys want to win, get back to prowess. How do you look at that move with Russ going to Pittsburgh?
I look at it as coaching saying that I don't need great players. I need players that can be good at their job. And I think that when we look at Mike Tomlinson, you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers and where they was as an offense or as a team, and then something clicked, whereas the coaching has still been elite, but the play and the performance from the quarterback position has not been that. And so therefore Mike Tomlinson as a coach is one of the coaches that's in the NFL that says, you give me enough good players that show up on Sunday, I can coach these guys to win. I don't need the greatest players to go out and win with. And I think, for Russell going that way, it's a fair opportunity for him, but a better opportunity for a lot of the guys that's on that team, because they were just missing one piece from being extremely competitive with the loads of talent that they got, whether that be youth or veteran. The veteran leadership's on Pittsburgh. So good for him, man. And hopefully this turns out to be something where it could be a good turn of events for him in his career.
Frank, I'll let you go on this one then. There's a final, another big trade that has taken place. Brian Burns, who was a terrific player for Carolina, and they didn't have a lot of them, he just got traded to the New York Giants. So this is a great break for Brian Burns. Is Carolina just that team that they're just going to try to retool, and it's going to take them 2 or 3 years?
Well, you know what? Carolina had the first pick last year in the draft, and they went out and got a Heisman Trophy quarterback. They believed that he had the ability. He didn't stay much on his feet in the pocket. He saw his backside more than anything, because the offensive line just was atrocious. And they didn't have pieces on the outside to allow him to get the ball away. So anybody that leaves from a team like that doesn't mean that the player isn't good. he found a better opportunity to free agency. But I'm not going to knock on Carolina. That team has the pieces that they got a good quarterback. Hopefully over time that, in a year or two, these guys will get a couple of pieces around him that will allow this offense to kind of, be more explosive. But, the league right now with free agency, Jimmy B, anything could happen, man. And in 1 year, your entire season can change if you get one or two more pieces.
So you go for what? I don't know, Pinnacle? A dozen Pinnacle balls? What do you think?
Nowadays?
Yeah, man. What do you got in you? Come on.
TP5. Only you would come up with some great scenario like that. But I'm actually thinking about a Strict sign. I'm thinking more of a 3-pack of a Strict sign, a QV Star Ball right now. Probably not a Tyler's Pro V for 45 to 75. A 12-pack, but a QV Star. Somewhere up in there, you can get me that. I think about a QV Star, something new on the market with some value that can still get it in the hole. Make a birdie every now and then.
I love it. We love you, buddy. Thank you, man. Have a good week.
You're so wrong.
Frank Sanders joining us, the great wide receiver for the Cardinals and Ravens, always joining us on Monday. Appreciate his time. He's brought to you by the Sportsbook here at CAZ Sports Bar. We're here today, every Monday, and take the points on Saturday. This is a sports fan's paradise. You can bet the game, watch the game. That's the Sportsbook at the CAZ Sports Bar. They got 3 live betting windows, 6 self-service betting kiosks, plus 8 screens that are displaying all of the betting lines. Check it out for yourself. Open daily. Coming up, we'll tell you what's on and your chance to win G2G protein bars for an entire year. That's next right here on Rockin' Minutes with Jimmy B.
Check this out. This is The Herd. You're excited. I'm excited. With Colin Cowherd.
Carl Mecklenburg, a very respected former Bronco